Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And the title of this segment is Scientifically Proven Techniques to Promote Longevity. So, we're going to talk all about what longevity is and what we really can expect. So, it's going to be a really interesting show. Our expert guest is Dr. Mark Sherwood. He's a naturopathic doctor. Him and his wife, who's a doctor of osteopathy, they have a full time wellness based medical practice in Tulsa, Oklahoma called the Functional Medical Institute, where they adopt a whole person approach, which is outcome based, looking at each individual's unique needs. Their goal is to lead people down a path of true healing. And the author of the newest book is coming out first part of next year called Authentic Longevity. So I want to find out all about what that's all about. So, Dr. Mark Sherman, thanks so much for being here.
Rico, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this. I appreciate what you're doing and grateful to be with you today.
Yeah, the same here. So my first question is, we all talk a lot about longevity, and I do myself as well. But I want to get your input. How can we really tell anybody that anything that we're doing will really increase their longevity? We don't really know that, right? I think it's more about health span. We can increase person's health span, but we don't know about how long we can definitely increase your probably, but not, we don't know for sure, right?
We don't. We know that the body has potential to probably live longer, and we're seeing people living longer indeed, Rico. That's no question. But I looked at this from many angles, and I've determined that we're not living longer, just living longer. We're actually being sicker longer. And
Yeah.
something is wrong with that. So, our passion is to not see this increase in sick span increase, but we want to see the increase in health span increase. And by doing that, we believe that there's actually going to be more longevity. But said a different way, we're not looking for more years of life. We're looking for more life in the years.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yeah, I just wanted to ask you, I mean, there's no question, most people are dying, from things that are preventable, like heart disease and cancer and diabetes, and all those things can be preventable with a healthy lifestyle. So, well, my next question is, how do you define authentic longevity?
For us, it's being able to do what you want, when you want, how you
Mhm.
want, for as long as you want, and not hurt. Maybe it's like said like this. It's like being able to live freely, functionally, younger, older, and then maybe one more way to say it is being able to die as young, as old as possible.
Yeah, as aged as possible. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it's quite possible. There's many people are doing it, and just many people like yourself are, we're coming up with more and more scientific information about what the body really requires. And so I think that's the main message we want to get out is that you don't have to buy into the mainstream narrative that we're all going to get old and sick and maybe end up in a nursing home and die in our 70s, right?
That's very true. We don't have to think like that. It boils down to really kind of three concepts, what you put in your mouth,
Yeah.
what you do with your body, and then kind of what you do with your head, what you put in your mind. Because when you reframe the expectation, Rico, you get different results. If our expectation is 80, well, that's the bar you set. If your expectation is 120 and you end up at 100, and you have more life in the years, well, you just exceeded those expectations. But perhaps the best thing we should do is be resetting the expectations to something a little bit higher. And I think that is what our mission is about.
Yeah. Well, you already mentioned that right now, but talk a little bit more about, you say one of your main purposes is to eradicate all self-imposed chronic or soft choice-driven disease conditions. Talk a little bit more about how we can do that.
Well, you certainly mentioned several type 2 diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, osteoporosis, cancers, Alzheimer's, dementia. We believe a lot of these are driven by our own choices.
Mhm.
And we start looking at this, we've got to really get down to the idea of what can we do right now in our lives to begin to avert those problems. In other words, quit living rehabilitatively, but start living prehabilitatively. In other words, look ahead, not look behind, and be proactive in our steps in life. And when I look at this, I've looked at it from many different ways. There's a lot of therapies and things out there, but it really boils down to what can you do right now? Everybody that's listening can put these into practice. Number one, you can begin to eat a little bit better. We need to eat anti-inflammatory foods. I mean, you and I both know seed oils are horrible for us. We need to
Yeah.
prioritize protein. We need to sort of eat in different windows of time, not eat all day, but maybe in a 10 to 12 hour period. In other words, shorten our eating span, lengthen our non-feeding span, and that creates more cellular repair uptake. And of course, that's one of the three things I like. Number two is I like to look at the idea of activity. You know,
Mhm.
activity is life, movement is life, and a lack of activity is rigor mortis. You know, easily said, the more you move, the more you live, the less you move, the more you die. And it's not
I,
about doing more
I,
exercise, Rico. It's about doing better, more consistent. And the last element, we can dive in each of these a little bit better, but is trying to be at peace, man, with your heart and head and the people you live with. Man, there's too much controversy and anxiety today, and uh, an anxious mind, an anxious heart, or a fearful mind and a fearful heart does not provide for hopefulness. Instead, it provides for hopelessness. And that's
oh,
not something that's the fuel of life. So we need to be at peace.
yeah, that's well said. Yeah, it's commonly known, as you well know, that stress is known to be the major precursor to most chronic illness in our body. So what's going on in our mental emotional state manifests in our physical body.
Yes, when you look at the concept of peace, peace is synonymous with the concept of a better life, longer life, and even longevity.
Mhm.
Studies have shown that time and time again, as opposed to fear or anxiety. That's been shown to weaken the immune system and therefore shorten the body's defenses to promote more life, therefore giving us likelihood of less lifespan.
Hmm. Yeah, that's well said. I like the way you say that. Well, the other thing you talk about too is the importance of learning how to eliminate the usage of unnecessary medications,
Yeah.
which the majority of them are, I believe. And and so and in your clinic you have a lot of different diagnostic tests and
Mhm.
different healing prevention. So talk a little bit about why all these unnecessary medications are causing a lot of our chronic illness and less living long, shorter
You've
lives.
got you've got probably two out of every three Americans right now on multiple medications.
Yeah.
And we got to go, why is that? That's a fair question. I'm not anti medicine, nor is my wife anti medicine. She's conventionally trained, of course. But the bottom line is, medication should be used in as little dose as possible for as little time as possible. They do start and stop biological or physiological processes, and they do cause sometimes nutrient pullout. So, long term medication usage is not wisdom when you look at it from the standpoint of just that. Medicine, Rico, is really about managing diseases as opposed to
Yeah.
correcting, reversing, or avoiding disease processes. And again, that's not an indictment upon medicine. We have some great medicines. We have great scientists, great people that develop pharmaceutical drugs. But for example, if you have hypertension, just as an example, I'm not saying blood pressure medication can't be used for a time to prevent sort of a heart attack or stroke. However, it's important to understand why you're having stiff vessels and
Yeah.
go back and correct those things, because I've seen this time many times again. People that we work with, they see blood pressure medications begin to push their blood pressure too low, which means you've got to get off the medications. So we put the body in a position so the body can do what it does, operate as it's supposed to operate, therefore making medication need a non-necessity.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love having naturopathic doctors like yourself on, because as you know, obviously naturopathic doctors try to look at the root cause of why you're
Yeah.
having things, and look at look at you from a holistic standpoint, not just, well, this is what you have, so we're going to give you this drug and that's it, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Again, we're not denying symptoms, but when some comes into our office, or we work with online, of course, I don't really want them focusing on the question, tell me, Dr. Mark, what is wrong with me?
Uh,
I understand something's not functional. I get it. Something's not working the way as it should, or something's dysfunctional. Some system has gone awry. However, what's going on that's right? And I think we accentuate, magnify what is right while still factoring in what might not be functional. And that gives us a holistic approach to how we can improve the systems that are working good to work great, the ones that are not working well to work better, therefore making the symptoms go away, therefore making the disease one or the medication prescription model irrelevant. And many times I know why that occurs, and sometimes I don't. But when it occurs in both occasions, Rico, I'm happy about that. And the symptoms are gone away and the people get their life back.
yeah, that's so good. Well, I think the main message is isn't it that you agree is that what the message we want you to know, our audience to know, is that again, you don't have to just live with the mainstream medical system. There's so many ways now to learn what the root cause of it and how you can change your lifestyle, you can change your habits, and there's hope. You can heal, you can prevent all these illnesses, and you can heal yourself.
100%. We like to call ourselves hope dealers,
Hope
and I
dealers.
think that's a very good way to encapsulate what we do, and three things, three takeaways. We need to fuel wisely, move intentionally, and
Mhm.
then live peacefully. And I think everybody can start that right now.
That's so good. That's so good, Mark. I totally agree with that. Yeah, we're already getting a little bit short on time. So I know we want to send people to your website to learn more
Yep.
about all what you have to offer. I know you have a free ebook there. You want to mention that a little bit about that?
Yeah, our website that reaches my main site is drmarksherwood.com, drmarksherwood.com. No period there, just straight through. And you can go down that page. You're going to see a free ebook that my wife and I wrote called Hope, Health, and Freedom. And it's going to encompass all that we talked about today, the three things and more, even talking about therapies like DNA, peptides, hormones, the whole bit. And it's really a fascinating book. It's about 20 pages, and I think people can really get a great blessing from that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I love that term. I have never heard that before. Hope dealer. That's so cool. Did you?
Yeah, I wear these little bracelets that say Hope Dealer on them, and I give them out as I'm so led.
That's so cool. Well, Dr. Mark, yeah, we are just about out of time, and I really appreciate all the great information that you have and all your work that you're doing. And again, how about just the last word you want to tell people to give them some hope, since you're a hope dealer?
Yeah, look, everybody's had setbacks. Everybody's had fallbacks. Everybody's had fall downs. But every day you're alive, man, that's the present. You want to embrace that moment, that present, which is a gift. Get back up because your setback is preparing you for your comeback. So don't stay down. Keep getting back up every day and start today for your best life ever.
That's so well said. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being here. And thanks to our audience for being here as well.